Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Now, as of June 6th, we have a brand new Redfin housing market report. Now, obviously, guys, we have a brand new record high. They've revised the record high from 2022 downward. So now all of these past housing market reports have all been breaking new record highs. Now, that's very interesting because that's happening in the face of shifting supply and demand dynamics. In other words, guys, supply is now outpacing demand. And so the next thing that should start happening is prices go down. Now, I want to remind us where we came from starting with 2022 and on. Now, remember around May to June of 2022, we had deflation or depreciation, or rather negative equity growth in the housing market that was surging. You guys, it was stronger than the start of the GFC. Now, that happened till approximately February of 2023. And now, what happened in February or after February of 2023? Now, despite the tax refunds and the start of spring home buying season, remember the bank term funding program was introduced to stop the contagion of bank failures. Now, whether or not you agree with me on what's going to happen with the housing market, we should all agree that by doing that, it was a little bit of a bank bailout. Maybe not a full-fledged bank bailout, but it was at least a small bank bailout. And by doing that, essentially what the Federal Reserve did is they kicked the can down the road. So don't forget that, and don't lose hope that just because the housing market has not crashed on a nationwide level, yes, many places in Texas it actually has, but don't lose your hope. Things just take time. And the fact is, guys, the data revisions are out of control. Now, real quick, guys, I want to explain median prices. Now, the way that median is calculated is they just take the middle value. It's not even an average. They take the middle value. Now, what I see happening with median prices right now, the fact that they're going up, to me, it's representing that the top end of the median is still very active, whereas the middle to low end of the median is losing steam. In other words, guys, if there are more $1 million houses selling and less $300,000 houses selling, then it will appear that the median price is going up, even though potentially those mid-range prices are going down. And that's why I constantly tell you guys what we go over here with Redfin, it's all macro data. In fact, we can't even trust the data. If we want to get super hyper local, and you guys hear this all the time, real estate's about being local. If we really want to know what's going on, we really want to get local, despite where we're at in the housing market crash, we have to go and review the subdivision. We have to review the comps. The comps are the properties that sold. And usually to calculate appraisal value, they need 3 comps to determine value. So just remember that, guys. Regardless, we're still going to go into the Redfin report. I'm going to show you guys that demand is in the toilet and supply is going up. Which brings me to this video's question. Are the prices of houses actually going down? Sit tight. I mean, seriously, guys, isn't that a great question? Are prices really going down? I could tell you in my market here in Houston, when I access MLS, 100% prices are going down. Are they going down on every house? No. Are they going down on some houses? Absolutely. The key is knowing the difference. Now, the name of this week's Redfin housing market report is Home Prices Are Falling in Texas Metros and a new metro this year, which is Portland, Oregon, as high rates cool demand for the former hotspots. Ooh, and you guys, I love this first little paragraph. It's not that I want people to get hurt. It's just that I want to start healing. I don't want more pain to come. I want us to start healing. The sooner the better, because the longer that it takes for us to start healing, for us to start moving back to balance, then there's going to be more people that pay for it, more people that are put in financial distress. You know, for example, not all, but most of the recent homeowners by far are the biggest at risk. But listen to this paragraph. Prices are down, 3% in Austin, Texas. And you guys, Austin wasn't even on this list 1 week ago. So they're now back on this list with a drop of 3%. That is saying something. Now, that's more than any other metro area, as near record housing costs push home buyers away. Nationwide price drops are at the highest level since November of 2022, suggesting more metros may soon see sales price declines. Now, remember what active data leads the housing market. Price drops. Now, I don't know why I couldn't get Logan to acknowledge how important those price drops are, but just to put this in perspective, you guys remember at the beginning of this video, I said that during the second half of 2022, we actually had depreciation. We had negative equity in the housing market in 2022. Well, I want to tell you guys that those leading factors, including days on market, but also price cuts, are exceeding 2022. So we have trends now that are exceeding the fastest price drop in history. We have those trends happening right now. So again, this is not guessing. This is not my opinion. These are facts. These are the facts of the situation. All right, let's read this week's overly optimistic realtor paragraph. Now, if you are a realtor, if you're listening to my videos, props to you. I know that it appears that I'm bashing realtors, but it's a lot of tough love. We need great realtors. The problem is, and here's the thing, we do need great realtors, and great realtors go a long way. They do. Great realtors, they go a long way, but it's because there's so many bad ones. So that's why I'm always like, yo, step up, or get out of the business, because the community, the citizens of the US, we need strong realtors to help us navigate this toxic housing market. Seriously, comment below. Do you disagree with me? Do you think we have strong realtors, or do you think we need stronger realtors? Either way, let's see what Redfin's realtor has to say this week. There's no getting around the fact that it's expensive to buy a home right now. Duh. But some people are having luck negotiating with sellers. I've seen buyers get homes under asking price when it has been on the market for a few weeks. That's good. That's especially true when their agent presents market data that supports a lower market value, like comps of similar homes nearby that have sold for less or fewer than usual online views or tours. Other buyers are finding creative ways to afford a home, like buying a duplex and living in one unit and renting the other unit out. Now that brings me back to the realtors. If we had strong realtors, we would be able to get price decline much faster. What happens, y'all, is there's a high percentage of realtors, they don't care. They just want the home to close. They kind of want their client to be happy, or at least they'll say they want their client to be happy, but they will not properly negotiate the price of the house down. They will not properly negotiate sales concessions. Again, if we had stronger realtors, then we could heal a lot faster. But when we have bad realtors and they don't negotiate, it just keeps the problem going. So if you're a realtor, again, you're watching this, I would plead to you, slow down and negotiate the crap out of these house prices and help America. You are literally, if you're a realtor, you're in a position to finally help America, but not by being lazy. You got to be mean and you got to be aggressive and you got to get your client a great deal, because you can. Looking at this week's leading indicators, rates have lost some momentum, but we are still elevated compared to where we were at last year, and that was in the front of spring home buying season. So thank goodness, good job, Federal Reserve, on that. We got exactly what we needed. I've been telling you guys that for the last year, and we got it, and that's why we see inventory exploding. But look at interest rates, you guys. Interest rates, this is the daily average. Again, we've lost some steam, but we're still slightly over 7%, sitting at a daily average of 7.03%. Now, last year, this time, it was 6.95. So it was very, very close. But remember, interest rates started going up around summer of last year. The problem last year is they went down right around the same time as the bank term funding program opened, and that created additional demand. Now, the weekly average is 7.03, so very, very, the same as the daily average. That's a first. Now, that's up last year from 6.79%, so you can see more elevation right there. That's about a 25 basis point difference, or 2.5% less purchasing power right now. Now, we know that supply and demand fundamentals are shifting, and we know that demand is not keeping pace anymore. Overall, there are still, I want you guys to know, and if you're in one of these markets, I understand your frustration. There are still some markets that are red hot, and there will always be some subdivisions and some markets that are always hot. The really important key here, especially if you guys want to get ahead and if you want to win, is learning how that works. And it's very, very easy. I'll go over that at the end of this video and I'll tell you guys exactly what to do and what to look for and how to learn. But look at the mortgage purchase applications. That's down year over year. And remember, you guys, last year in the toilet, down 13%. Ouch. Redfin home buying demand, as it's an index measured by Redfin, that's also down 13%. Google searches for homes for sale is also down somehow 18%. Now, just like in 2008, the interest in the housing market was all-time lows right before the crash. Isn't it interesting that it appears the same thing is happening right now? Take a look at this week's winners and this week's losers. We have a lot more losers this week, but let's start with the winners. Now, these metros are also losing steam. We don't have any 20% anymore. Again, so what this is showing me is how meaningless overall median price is. But let's start with Anaheim. Now, I got a comment last week about, Travis, you're wrong. There's so much new building in Anaheim. But my point is the few new building that is going on in Anaheim, the price point's $700,000-800,000, and you may get a 1,400 square foot condo or townhouse. It's so out of reach for the normal person. It's crazy, and that's why you see that. And then they're like, oh, well, they're building at the Great Park. Well, I was like, dude, that's in Irvine. Okay, how do I know that? Well, I used to live in these areas, and I know that. Now, the number two is in New York, is Nassau County at 15.8% come up. My heart really bleeds for them. Oh my gosh, oh, you guys, look at this city's back in the mix. This is New Jersey. I can never pronounce this. In fact, it's a running joke now, and I'm not even going to try, but it's Newark. Okay. Newark, New Jersey. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I just cannot do it. Number four is Cleveland, Ohio at 13.9%. I'm really, really watching Cleveland. That is very, very intriguing to me because on one hand, it's a relatively affordable area compared to the rest of the nation. If you're local, it's not. If you're a local, you hate it because it's not. But overall, it is affordable. But the other thing about Cleveland that really, really is intriguing to me is how many investors own houses out there. So I'm very interested as how many of them are speculating, how many are long-term rentals, what's going on in Cleveland because investors love that area. Now, number five is actually Oakland, California. I miss the Raiders. I cannot get off the bandwagon. Once I'm a fan, I'm very loyal. They moved to Las Vegas. It is what it is. I mean, I was one of those kids back then. I had my Oakland shirt. You know, I was in SoCal. I'm an Oakland shirt. But regardless, you guys, Oakland is number five. Now, the losers of this week, number one is back in gear. This is Tesla layoffs. You guys are starting to see the Tesla layoffs affect existing home prices. Austin, number one metro area with price decline for median at 2.9%. You guys, this is spring home buying season, I mind you. So when we go into fall and winter, there's going to be a lot more metros on this list. Number two, also a Texas metro. You guys know, I've been saying Texas, Texas, Texas. We're also going to see Florida on this list, mark my words. But number two is San Antonio at a drop of 1.2%, followed by Fort Worth, which is right next to Dallas at a loss of 1.2%, and a new metro at Portland, Oregon. Welcome, Portland, Oregon, at a drop of 0.9%. Now, I've highlighted down here, you guys, new listings, because this is really, really interesting. If you're a whole supply and demand dynamic person, then watch these top five metro areas of inventory growth, which is, very interesting because I've been to every single one of these except San Jose. But San Jose has a almost 40% increase in new listings. That is a substantial dump of listings. That is a massive amount of increase, surge. And demand's not keeping up. Number two, Phoenix. Phoenix, not as much as San Jose, but still a lot at 22.4%. Come up in inventory, really cool stuff. San Diego, thank goodness, 21.2%. But the problem with that is it's a percentage. And if you're already starting with the low inventory count, 21% may not be that much, but regardless, it is number three. San Diego needs a lot more inventory. I'll tell you guys that right now. Number four, Denver. I've been to Denver when it was freezing cold. Regardless, Denver for existing homes. Keep in mind, this is not even new homes, but existing homes. We have a surge in Denver at 18.4%. Ending us out at number five is Las Vegas at an increase actually of 18%. I'm serious, you guys. Don't forget, this is all macro data. Even if we look at Las Vegas, it's still macro data. You got to get up in those subdivisions. And again, don't worry, at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you guys where to go to equip yourself to become an expert in real estate. And it's honestly, it's not even hard, you guys. It's not hard to be good at real estate, but it does require a little bit of work and a lot of bit of patience. Regardless, let's start visualizing this data. Starting with median sales price, that's up now 4.4% year over year. Now, I believe we're going to have a nominal. I'm not talking real. Jeff M knows he's talking about real. Real is adjusted for inflation. I'm saying we're going to have nominal. And I believe, again, I stand behind this. I made a video with Johnny Fly and Jason Walter at the end of the year of 2023. And I said, more than likely minimum. Okay, so I'll just put my minimum here, 5%. So again, that's a long way to go. I understand that, but I think we're going to end 5% down year over year, essentially right here, you guys. So I think we're going to be 5% under that right here. Okay. Essentially. Okay. So we'll see, but regardless, you guys, here's the bubble. Okay. You can really see the bubble from here to here. That's the unsustainable price growth. Now, even though we do see this 4.4% year over year median sales price growth, again, that's not in every metro area. That's not in every subdivision. And median sales price is not a great way to calculate value. It's just, this is the data that we have to use. Okay, so we're using the data that is provided to us, but we still got to look at the comparables. Nevertheless, the trajectory of median sales price is still going up. And according to Redfin, even though, again, they revised downward the record high in 2022, according to them, brand new record high right now of over 390,000 right now. Median asking price is up 5.9% year over year. It's kind of plateaued right here. You guys kind of see this area. The last, 5 weeks has been plateaued, but it had skyrocketed when normally it doesn't skyrocket. You guys can see the last 3 years, it doesn't have that trajectory. And I believe that trajectory is so vivid like that, again, because the higher end of the median, those houses are still selling. The middle to lower end of the median, those houses are still selling, but there are less of those houses on a year over year basis selling. And so that impacts median to the high side. Do y'all understand? So if more lower priced houses sold than higher priced houses, then it would be pushed downward. Either way, you guys, median asking price does lead median sales price, and we kind of see that plateauing, but regardless, it is up 5.9% year over year. Here's a really, really important stuff, guys. I believe a lot of what's happening next and what has happened in 2022 and what will happen in the future is a large part a result of this right here. And remember, housing payments take both interest rate and price. So we're looking at price and interest rates. And here's my biggest gripe. Here's why I think and believe the housing market's going to crash. Maybe my timing is off, but there is no sustainable fundamentals where people can afford, especially new home buyers for the last 2.5 years. They can't afford these house payments. It's so out of the norm of like income growth. It's shocking to me that people don't seem to care about this. But nevertheless, you guys, we would have to make roughly 40%, is actually more than that, but I'm going to say 40% more in income just to come back to normal 30-year affordability trends, or value goes down about 35%. Okay, down value, or rates get into the 3%. Okay, so a combination of those things is going to happen. Now, to me, the biggest probability of what's going to happen is obviously, and this is, to me, even a first grader can kind of understand this. It's the value. Why do I say that? Because if they lower interest rates, then they eliminate the ability to use interest rates to combat inflation. In other words, they cannot lower interest rates. If they lower interest rates, then prices will go up and those two will wash each other out. And so they have to remain elevated. Now, when we have a period of spiraling out of control unemployment, then yes, okay, then that's a little bit safer to do. Now, as far as 40% income, you guys, they're doing quantitative tightening. The Federal Reserve does not want us to make more money. It's called a wage price spiral. And on top of that, when we look at all areas of real income adjusted for inflation, when we look at personal, family, household, it's all down. So income, in my mind, that's just not a reality because of where we're at in the economy and what the Federal Reserve is doing. So again, I just keep going back to asset prices. Asset prices are too high. If these asset prices went up this high in a period of maybe 8 to 10 years, all right, we're good. But these asset prices went up this high in a period of 2.5 years at the same time where our income decreased. That's why I'm saying this is not sustainable. Now you see pending sales. This is another gauge of demand, which is also down 4% year over year. That is a 4-year low for this time of year. So another area of demand, it's showing demand is absolutely a dumpster fire right now. Now, here's what I don't like, and I want to be honest with you guys about this. New listings of homes for sale, even though we're up 7% year over year, when we look at the previous 2 years, we're actually down. So if we measure here to here, we're actually down. And this again shows that even though new listings are down, if we look at those 2 years right there, inventory is still going up because demand is not keeping up with the inventory. And think about this. You're also seeing the golden handcuff effects. Okay. So when we have a period of unemployment, listen, when we have a period of unemployment, okay, and people have to sell their houses, that's going to cause prices to go down. At the same time where potentially the Federal Reserve has to stimulate the economy now and interest rates go down. So more than likely, what I believe is going to happen is we're going to be in a situation to where both value and interest rates go down at the same time. But that is a slippery slope. If they reduce the interest rates too soon, it's just kicking the can down the road even more and getting the bubble even bigger. Now, this is good news, you guys. Active listings of homes for sale were up 16% year over year. So even though new listings aren't coming on the market as quickly, we still have elevated inventory. In fact, we have a 4-year high for this time of year. And that's what I'm saying. Demand is no longer keeping up with supply. These are very, very great things. Now, I said that we need to get to 900,000 and sustain. And so far, you guys, we have been sustaining 900,000. Now, honestly, I was hoping it would go up and not like almost exactly 900,000 and just sit at 900,000. I was hoping it would continue to go up and then kind of sustain. So this is going to be very interesting. You guys know I went on record to say we need, according to this data, remember there's multiple data sets for inventory. I'm talking about active listings from Redfin. Now, remember, this is when we got price decline in 2022. This is where we're at. Okay, we're at about the same level as we're at right now. So I believe, again, that's why we're starting to see more and more metro areas hit that year over year price decline list. But not every metro area has inventory growth. There are some metro areas, they have a lot of growth needed still. Also, this is very important. This looks at both supply and demand. This is at 3.2 months. So you guys can see we have a high, a 4-year high. Again, when it comes to supply for this time of year, we're sitting at 3.2 months. This is spring, summer home buying season. Now, remember, again, in 2022, this is when we kind of right here, when we had depreciation and when we had massive inventory growth. So the way I look at it, guys, we're about 2 months ahead of last year. Nevertheless, we're sitting at 3.2 months. I want to remind you guys, in 2017 and in 2019, all we had was 3.7 months of inventory. So this whole like, oh, we need 6 months of inventory, 5 months of inventory. No, we don't. We need about 3.5 to 4 months to get back to pre-COVID levels, or rather the last decade averages. The last decade averages are so close, you guys. We are so close, but they need to sustain. I believe this year they will sustain. So you see the fear of missing out also kind of tapering off because we're looking at pending sales under contract within 2 weeks. So this is like houses that are listed and then they go under market right away. We have a 4-year low for this time of year. So again, more and more data that the supply and demand dynamics are shifting. And a lot of this narrative is like, we have high prices like this. They're going to stay high because of supply and demand. But my question is, well, what happens when that reverses? Well, we know what happens when that reverses. The prices will go down because of the way that prices went up. Now, again, you guys, 4-year low, very, very good thing. Only 43.4% of houses are going under contract within the first 2 weeks. Still high, but at least it's a 4-year low. Now, here is the smoking gun, if you will. This is listings that had price drops. We're at this is an unprecedented level. It really is. We're at 6.4% price drops. You guys, again, we are 2 months ahead of 2022. And remember, in 2022, prices went down. Not just median, actual values went down in 2022. And so again, we're 2 months ahead. All right. So I think my 5% nominal price decline for just this year and an election year, I think that's pretty, we'll see. but I think it's going to be pretty accurate. I mean, the price drops right now. I mean, that's insane. I mean, again, that's a 4-year high for this time of year, but it's almost a record high. So not only do we have a 4-year high for this time of year, but also almost a brand new record high. And remember right there, those price drops lead the housing market after interest rates. So interest rates, price drops, median asking, sold price, right? Again, another set of data that is supporting what I'm saying. Redfin Home Buying Demand Index is down a whopping 13% year over year. So this is another 4-year low for this time of year. So the question is are home prices really dropping? And the answer is they are absolutely. But if we really look at that question, are they dropping in every single metro and every single subdivision? Absolutely not. You really got to do your research. You really got to hope that you're in a subdivision and in an area that is already experiencing price drops. But I also want to remind you, everything that is happening right now is before we enter a technical public recession and before we have really any out of control, spiraling out of control unemployment. So when those things do happen, expect even more pressure on prices to go down. If you're wondering again, how do you win? You got to understand things like cash flow and things like wedge. And I still have some people that are like, what is wedge? If you want to know what wedge is, if you want to know what cash flow is, if you want to know what conventional loans are or FHA loans or what to ask a seller for, you guys, just take my home buying course. If you want to learn about wedge, I made a chapter. It's about 15 minutes long. Watch the chapter, watch only the 15 minutes and learn. My point is, I want to be the guy that you guys can lean on that's not going to try to just milk you for every dollar that you own. I want to be the guy that actually helps United States citizens. Am I perfect? No. Do I misspeak sometimes? Yeah, I do. Do I link my data? Yes, I do. But I will tell you, you will always get from me, Real Estate Mindset, 100% of my heart, my transparency, and honesty. But again, I know I will make mistakes. I'm just a human being. I never went to college for any of this. But I also want to say I am so humbled being in this chair talking to you. I really hope you guys are growing and you guys are empowered by these videos because that is a real testament to a teacher. And I consider myself just that. And I really appreciate you guys. Don't stop learning. And if you're out there investing in real estate, you guys already know I wish you luck and I hope you win.